Hey, guess what? According to the lovely people at the World Economic Forum, apparently there's a bright future ahead for them. Not us, but for them. At least that's what they're saying. And that's according to the headmaster of the organization, Klaus Schwab. And this was tweeted out by James Melville saying, "Can you imagine 10 years when we are sitting here and we'll have an implant in our brains, and I can actually immediately feel because you will all have implants and we will measure your brain waves." That's the kind of nice, calming future that they have in store for the World Economic Forum, which is so nefarious and evil, it makes the Legion of Doom seems like Build-A-Bear. That's the kind of people that they are. And here's what they had to say about it. And watch for yourself.
Logical incarnation are going to live.
Advancing very fast. Advancing very fast. But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
I think that is imaginable. I think I think, you can imagine that. You can imagine, well, you're going to be sort of transplanted into, the internet, so to speak, to live forever in a digital realm. You can imagine that, you just in your biological incarnation are going to live to be some, very long age.
Advancing.
The fact that they're talking about this so calmly. Like, can you just imagine a world, like, just imagine the possibilities 10 years from now that we'll all have implants in our brains and some mastermind sitting at his desk can be able to see our reactions and know what we think all the time and know exactly what's going inside of our minds. Like, it's just some sort of whimsical dream. It's a fantasy of theirs. Oh, it's just so wonderful. You wonder where the conspiracy theory comes from. You wonder why people have a mistrust with giant organizations tied to governments that are implementing stuff like this. You wonder where all the crazy nut conspiracy crazy nuts come from. You wonder why. You wonder why. It's because of stuff like this that they announce in the open. It's not hidden. It's not some sort of secret agenda behind closed doors. They're announcing this on public forum. Just like they're announcing the Great Reset, which we're living in right now. They've announced it years ago. Klaus Schwab did a whole friggin' book about it. How you're going to own nothing and you're going to like it. How we're going to, transform the entire global community so it sides with our agenda. How we're going to transform the governments into our versions of democracies. How we're going to have nefarious control and organization on the food, on, shelters, on housing, on everything. Everything. Means of communication, everything. And it's happening right now. The Great Reset is not happening 10 years from now or 20. It's happening as we're speaking right now. Why? Because they announced it out in the open and people brushed it off like a chip on their shoulder. And mostly because it was not reported anywhere on mainstream media. It's not been reported even in the progressive YouTube sphere. They think the World Economic Forum is just some sort of crazy, mindful, right-wing theory. Oh, you don't think that a bunch of bankers gathered together in Switzerland talking about brain chip? Oh, you're a crazy nut job. There's no such thing as a global leader council. Globalism is not a problem. Come on. Or worse, they'll look at this and go, well, it's not too bad of an idea. They can track all the, hatefulness that goes into their minds and the misinformation. Because goody for them that someone who barely knows who the hell I am and barely knows what I think or care about, or probably shouldn't care what I think, is going to have control over all of it. And they said it so calmly. Jesus, like, it's just, no. Like, that goes to show you the level of nefarious, the level of sociopathic, psychological torture that they're putting us through. And they're just saying it out in the open like it's just a public forum. Like, just imagine the possibilities. And this should be red flags. This should be a bunch of red flags to every single person. The World Economic Forum is not people to be trusted with. Trust me. They're not there because they are helpful for the community. They're not there because they're good for humanity, because they're, hard workers and actually care about one another. They're there because they're globalists. They're there because they're capitalists, because they're monopolists. They own giant realms of banks and have tech monopolies and industry monopolies and have so much grand control over the world and the empire of the world that they want to, manipulate, and they want to occupy, and they want to take their Orwellian nightmare into control. Like, these are people not to be trusted whatsoever. And the people tied to it, like Justin Trudeau, like President Macron, like in the UK, like other global leaders, are not to be messed with. Even Joe Biden, he's not directly tied to the World Economic Forum, but a lot of the country is siding with them. And a lot of the bankers and CEOs of America attend this every single year. They're part of the World Economic Forum. So, again, those conspiracy nuts, those people you think they're so loony that there's an organization of global leaders controlling and dominating over the world and the policies and implementing crazy ideas like brain chips. Now you just heard it. Now you think they're still crazy? They're still nefarious? You wonder where all this is coming from? It's coming because they're out in the open about it. There's nothing secret about it. There's a great reset. They're having dominant control over agriculture, farms, food, transport, everything. And now they're imagining a world where everybody's implanted with brain chips. Because, they're just so lovely and warm and wholesome and just care so much about humanity that they want some guy sitting behind a computer desk knowing exactly what we're thinking 24 hours a day. Which, trust me, no one wants to see what's in my mind 24 hours a day. I don't want to even know what I'm thinking 24 hours a day. I don't want them to know. So, just a bleak future.